To get involved with the meeting.
Give me your name.
Jason Van Sickle.
Jason. Okay. Bruce, you're last. Your turn.
Bruce Griffith, I'm here.
Come on, Bruce.
But who are you really?
And if you weren't here, where would you be?
Batman.
Right, has everybody read and approved or read the minutes? Any changes necessary? Has everybody read? And thank you for putting those together early for us.
You prefer it that way?
I really do. If it's
easier for me.
And that way people's minds are fresher. I like what it is.
There are no fresh ones here.
Okay, we have officer reports here. I have nothing to add to my report. Richard?
I did not turn in a report on time, but really the only thing I have to report is just that I've been working on committee work, and that's about it. That's all I got.
John is not here yet. Is John going to be missing, or is he just like? We have a new fundraising director. As you all know, Justin was voted in last week, and welcome, Justin. Everybody take a moment after the meeting and get to know Justin a little bit. I think you'll be impressed with him. He's a great guy, and he is on fire. So hopefully we'll have more than 13 cents a month coming in.
I'm very open-minded to ideas too, so if you got anything, I'll love to run with it.
So
too.
what is your goal? 17, 18?
I want to do at least 50 cents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe moon.
Hey, that's like four times as much.
I am high.
You know, typically, if you watch the process here, we can go over this, give me a call in the next couple of days, we'll sit down and we'll talk. I'll explain the process. This is fully recorded, so you'll be able to review this online. And we're gonna have to get Justin an email set up. Is there somebody here that can help him with that? Clayton, you're the guy?
Clayton's got it.
Okay. Make sure you guys swap phone numbers, whatever you need to do before the end of the meeting.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I have something that relates both to the treasurer's report and to our new fundraiser, and he actually has helped with some fundraising already. But I have $221 net proceeds in this envelope from the Night of the Living Statist that I was going to turn over to the treasurer tonight. He shows up.
So we actually did make a profit on this. Skinny one, but some.
That's not that skinny. It's good.
$221.31. No.
Okay, it's a start. Yeah. It's a good start.
Campaigns?
Yes, in addition to the fact that I figured out that doing it in Google Docs does not upload it to Google Drive, sorry. I fixed that today. But Galen Kent is going to run in CD3. So he just messaged me today.
I've got 3 other people that said agrees in the last 2 days on the forward their contact
Yes,
information.
I've got quite a few wanting to run for local office, but I don't think we have many local offices running in 2018.
We should have quite a few.
County commissioners?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've got a number of those coming through from the website, but we'll farm them. We'll send them out an email, and I'll call them in January as well to follow up and just see if we can bump them up to county or local or state or whatever.
Okay. Kim, do you have a list of all of the offices that have openings?
It's in the spreadsheet, in the drive.
Is there a way that you can get that to David, that he can post it on our maybe on our webpage?
I think I can share it. with David. I'm pretty sure.
Email it to him.
Getting complicated. Listen, if it was on my computer, I can do it no problem, but Google Drive and I'm not on speaking terms, okay?
Do you have anything else, Kim?
No, that's,
Do we have a governor contact?
no, we still don't have a governor. Candidate.
Outreach.
Okay, as it stated in my report, we have an opportunity to save $100 on an early bird discount for the People's Fair as long as we make our registration prior to the end of the year. And I think that requires approval from the board. So
We have to pay for it in full in order to get the discount?
Yeah.
It's not much.
It's $195 early bird. The regular fee is $295 by April 30th and $395 after that. And in addition, there's a $25 application fee, and there'll be it's give or take $50 for insurance, which we don't have to buy until later. But we do have to pay the $25 and the $195.
Is that for 2 booths?
That's just for one. We had 2 booths last year. I really don't think it's necessary.
You didn't think the extra space was a?
It didn't buy us anything.
So you have a motion in place, or you make?
We'll make the motion that we go ahead and register by December 31st. Take advantage of the early bird.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Objections? Okay, that passes. You done? Anything else you want to add, Kevin? Daniel is not yet here. He said he might be late. His wife is going in for surgery tomorrow, and I know he's trying to get her checked in right now. So he'll be here, but I'm not sure.
Can I bring up something about while he's not here? Oh, but anyway, no. So in his report, he mentioned that Boulder had podcasts, and I checked them out. They're really good. And I'm wondering if we could have them on our website. We've got our website for the Boulder podcast. Because they're on various libertarian topics. They have speakers come in.
You think they're pretty good?
Well, I listened to 2.
How difficult would that be to put those up, David?
Or just a link, maybe.
Are they on the Boulder website?
Yeah.
Well, we can just link to the Boulder website.
Could we link to the podcasts themselves? Because the Boulder website is large.
Oh, yeah, we probably could.
I think that's a great idea if you think they're good. I haven't seen one. I'm going to have to look at that.
Well, it's one of our affiliates too. So.
Sarah spoke there last time.
Say that again.
Sarah spoke there last time.
Did she? Okay. All right. Kevin, Mike, Slaney, what do you have for us?
I didn't. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, I wasn't able to get a report in this time. I had some other stuff going on, but hopefully I can get things settled here on the home front and get a little bit more attention to that. Going forward, some of the proposed legislation for the session starting in January is starting to roll out. One of them I posted about yesterday being the proposed legislation that eliminates the state sales tax on used automotives. That's going to be a good one to get behind and go forward. With the session starting, it's going to be pretty contentious with the proposed resolutions to oust certain legislators that have been accused of some type of sexual harassment, and also looking at ousting a legislator that has been charged with carrying a loaded weapon through the TSA checkpoint at DIA. I hear there's a resolution coming on that, even though she has not been convicted yet of anything, only charged. But there's a lot of that, a lot of legislation being tossed about. We'll see what actually gets put in legislative format. And then hopefully I can get in contact with David Aiken to see if we can continue our legislative lobby efforts going into 2018.
Mike, what was the name of the group that is behind the sales tax for the used automobiles?
That it's not a group. It's the senator from he's from down here in he's got the largest Senate district landmass wise in Colorado. It covers from the western slope to the eastern slope, the entire southern border of Colorado. And his name is Larry Crowder. What I find interesting about it is he's proposing this piece of legislation, but he was a sponsor and big promoter of last year's Senate Bill 267, which was the Tabor bypass with the hospital provider fee, the one that the piece of legislation that they called the Rural Colorado Sustainability Act.
Okay. Frank, you had something?
Representative Jonathan Singer from House District 11 will be sponsoring a bill for approval voting. Once again, enabling legislation tasking the Secretary of State to write guidance for statutory municipalities and special districts to use approval voting if they want to. That'll be additional legislation.
Get that, Mike?
Yeah, I do have a question for Frank though. Was the legislation approved last session? I can't remember, to use ranked choice voting.
2008, the ranked choice bill for statutory municipalities and special districts was passed.
Okay.
And I believe the Secretary of State hasn't written any guidance, but home rule cities could use it if they wanted to.
Okay, because I want to really try to help get behind Representative Singer on this one for approval voting, especially in municipal elections. I have somebody that's getting ready to start a petition drive in Pueblo since the voters in Pueblo passed a strong mayor system of government to use. She wants to try to use ranked choice. I would like to get approval voting passed for municipal elections.
Agreed. It's both systems are far superior to what we currently have. I consider approval voting to be simpler than ranked choice, and either one I'd be very happy with. I'll continue pushing approval voting, letting the voter vote for as many as they want to. Most votes wins.
Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. As long as I'll go either way, and I'll help with the petition drive. But my preferred method would be approval. But if we can't get it passed, then I'll help with the petition drive to use ranked choice for Pueblo's first election for mayor.
Did I see a hand down there, Blake?
Yeah, question. Strong mayor council, is it ward seats or is it at-large seats?
It's going to continue with the 4 districts and the 3 at-large seats. It'll still be a 7-member council with the elected mayor, all nonpartisan, including the mayor's seat. But we know that the partisans play behind the scenes. I know that firsthand from what happened in my district seat run. But it's going to be interesting. We have some challenges coming up, legal challenges, before we even get this off the ground, because according to the city charter, we can't change our form of government without a charter convention. We can't do it with just voter approval. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out prior to November of 2018.
You need any help, I volunteer.
That was Blake.
Okay. Yep. I see him there. Santa hat and all. So.
Anything else?
That's it for now.
All right. Thank you. Membership.
The only thing I have to add to the report is the thanks to Clayton and David, I should be able to get out the welcome email or mass email to the addresses we have. And so it's got your welcome letter, the region's welcome letter, and then I might be talking to you about what you want to do for like a fundraising. It could just be a link, or I don't know what you want to maybe have in there. Just because every opportunity is for money.
Anytime we make contact, we should be asking for donations every single time. Okay,
That's it.
that's it. Okay. Karen, you want to take your communications to the LNC report? You said.
Well, yeah, I wanted to
Okay.
do that. Okay.
Mike?
Okay, I'll talk about the income tax initiative later.
Yeah, I've got that on the agenda for later.
All right. Then, well, okay, I guess the email is related to that too. So other than my report, nothing to add. The income tax initiative has made it through some more hurdles.
We'll take more than your allotted time when we get to that part of the agenda. Okay. LNC report. You have 4 minutes, Karen.
Okay, well, we had a meeting this weekend, which was, there was the snowpocalypse in New Orleans, and everyone's plane got canceled because there was a 1/4 inch of snow and everything shut down. And I was sitting on the tarmac for an hour while they got de-icer. Honestly, I didn't see any snow. I was like, why is there snow? Okay. So the important things there's multiple, but the first thing, the 2020 convention site has been determined. It will be in Austin, Texas over Memorial Day weekend in 2020. And I think that was actually a really, really good choice. But more relevant to us is the next LNC meeting, April 20th through the 21st or the 21st through the 22nd, will be in Denver. So we're the host for the next LNC meeting. Michelle and Kevin will be hosting a Friday night fundraiser, which is now become something the LNC does each time to try to get money for the national party. So however the state party can help with that will be really appreciated, and those are usually pretty good. And when it brings in the higher donors for the national party, it gets them also hooked in with the state party. It's going to be at one of the, not the fundraiser, but the LNC meeting will be at one of the hotels over by the airport. So that's a really good opportunity for us to interface with the national party. That had happened, I'm sure people will be hearing about, is if you remember last year I talked about us passing a deficit budget. A deficit budget was passed again. This is a massively deficit budget, unlike last year, and I abstained on that vote for reasons I can explain. But the reasoning behind it is we're coming into, here's the reality of it. We don't have a line of credit, so it's not like a deficit budget is going to put us in whatever credit card debt or whatever it may be. If come the middle of the year we haven't caught up to what we need to spend, things will get cut. The point of view of people there was that we're making a mistake, and I'm not saying I agree with this, I'm just giving you the arguments, that we making a mistake running this like the federal government, where you have to have a balanced budget, that it should be run more like a business. And if there's an opportunity cost that requires an upfront investment, if you think your return is going to be higher, you have to take the risk. That's what high donors want to see. They don't want to see modest plans. They want to see aggressive, optimistic plans. So when our fundraising lady that we hired, who talked to the LNC, said, look, when I'm trying to get it, it's like what she had said before. If you call up someone who can give $10,000 and you ask them for $25, they're insulted. You need to ask people in accordance with their ability. If they can give a lot, that's what your ask should be. But the people we do the larger asks for don't want to see that we're putting $20,000 into, let's say, member growth. They want to see that we're hiring a full-time person to do that. So that was one of the positions that was added, a membership coordinator. The way it was originally done is that it was budgeted to April. And one of the more are multiple businessmen on the LNC, and one of the arguments they made is we're not going to get the highest quality person if we tell them, well, we just kind of have you paid till April. And good luck with that, that any person worth their salt knows that their job's going to be based on performance, and that if they see that we have confidence of budgeting it for the whole year, that we're going to get the best applicants. I think there's some wisdom in that. I'm not so entirely sure I agree. Also, our convention fundraising or ticket sales or whatever you want to call it for this year is the greatest it's ever been. It's even greater than 2016. The hotel rooms are 70% booked already. We've already raised over $100,000 in pre-convention sales. Way more gold tickets than we sold last time. So the convention committee is assuring the LNC that the profits from convention are going to be very well. Reality is, come July, if it doesn't happen, things will get cut. The staff members whose jobs depend upon making it happen, we're in favor of this. And these people will be out in the street if it doesn't happen. And they believe it can be done. The reason why I abstained rather than voting no like I did last year is because I didn't have a better answer. The only other answer was leaving with no budget. Last year I abstained because I thought that they did some creative bookkeeping, meaning that it really wasn't a deficit budget last year. They just didn't take it out of the reserves and move it to the general fund. So they wanted to make it look like we had such and such in reserves and a deficit here. Meanwhile, if you just put everything in the right spot, it wouldn't have been. That's not the case this year. It genuinely is a deficit budget. This year, not just a reserves thing. But we have bequests that because of federal law, we can't draw on immediately. So there is money that we can only take a certain percent each year. So that was the reasoning, and that's why I abstained. But I was the only abstention. It passed overwhelmingly. What I did wouldn't have made a difference whatsoever. So those were the major things that happened. So the convention being in Austin and the LNC meeting here, I think are pretty exciting news. So if anyone has any questions on anything else that may have happened or whatever you might be interested in. Oh, we raised $10,000 at the Friday night party. Normally it's more like 50 or 60, but again, the snow apocalypse did us in. We will rebuild. Just so you know, New Orleans will rebuild after that. And the hotel is beautiful for the convention. It's going to be a really, really good convention.
Frank, you had a quick question?
Just the LNC here in Denver is what month?
It's whatever weekend is April 21st.
April.
So it's that Friday. And thank you for bringing, so, okay, no, I have something I completely forgot. One reason it was decided to be in Austin, the convention, is because we can have open carry at convention. And they figured that would be a great political statement, and we can start maybe pulling in some support from gun rights group if you have pretty much a convention full of people that hopefully don't shoot each other. So that was the idea, to start having, to show our core issues. So last meeting, they decided we wanted our LNC meeting in April because it would be 4/22 and all that, you know. And then I said, if you're not going to have it in Denver, that's completely stupid, and the LPCO will be highly offended. So that's how it ended up being in Denver. So the theme is going to be around drug legalization, particularly marijuana legalization. So that's what we could build up on, and you know, maybe perhaps there are some local marijuana dealers that would like to get involved. So I'm just putting the idea in y'all's head. So that's how it ended up here. But the Austin convention with people open carrying, and the convention representatives, when they were asked that question, I don't think they've ever been asked that before, did not realize that that would be an important point. So the Atlanta person was like, no, we can't have that. And Arizona was kind of okay with it, but Austin was like, hell yeah, you know, bring your guns. So that was the tipping point.
Bring your pot.
Roughly how many people come to the LNC fundraiser?
It depends. We had, I think, 30 to 40 at the one that was in Kansas City. There was maybe 15 to 20 at the one in New Orleans. I think they planned for around 50. We just started this, so we're still learning on how to get people there. We usually try to find a matching donor, which is how we raised $70,000 in Kansas City.
I know of a venue space right upstairs from a dispensary.
Well, they like to have these at homes. So
Oh.
Kevin and Michelle have offered their home. We try to make it very homey and very homegrown libertarians meet other libertarians type thing. It doesn't want to be a more sterile environment.
We had 47 people for the Kokesh event, and that was a little crowded because we had to set up half of our living room for slideshow and all that stuff.
Karaoke.
But karaoke, well, the karaoke's going to be there anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're pretty comfortable up to 70 people.
Okay, is there anything else you want to add?
No, not unless anyone has any questions. There'll be a detailed report. I was secretary pro tem for that meeting because our secretary was caught in a snowpocalypse in California.
I would encourage everybody that is going to the national convention, if you're going to go, get your rooms reserved and get your tickets bought now.
We're booked.
I think we've already missed the opportunity for the early bird ticket.
Well,
It
yeah,
just
that's
ended,
passed.
yeah.
That just ended.
But
And
if you want to get a room at the hotel where the convention is, you probably need to reserve it here pretty quick.
yes, they are 70% booked. And the gold tickets, it's still, there was the early bird. It's still early bird, but the early bird was $3.99 for gold tickets. At the door is going to be $5.29, so it's a pricey ticket. I think it's like $4.50 now. Of course, there are lower tiers. And there's like a welcoming committee for $1,000, and it's the only committee you'll never have to do any work on. So you give $1,000, and you're part of the welcoming committee and get your name up in that lights. It's actually been a very good fundraiser, but businesses are getting advertisements that way too. So if you know anyone who has $1,000 burning a hole in their pocket and would like to be on the non-working committee, we raised a few of those at the
Should have
fundraiser.
lots of people sign up for that.
They did actually,
Yeah.
because there's going to be some good advertising for it. So it's a good way.
You guys do tiered,
Tiered one.
like gold,
For the
silver,
tickets?
platinum, with like the welcoming.
$1,000. You know, you have to pay in order not to
There's
work.
plenty of opportunities to spend extra money there,
Yeah.
though, seriously.
Anything else?
If you have any intention of driving or having a car at the hotel, I don't think there's any free parking. What I could see on their site was $45 a day to
I
park your
think
car.
we negotiated 30, but no, it's downtown New Orleans, so
Yeah.
it's there's spaces at a premium.
It is walking distance to the French Quarter, but it's a bit of a hike.
Not
It's
too
about a
much.
mile.
We walked and went. It was nice.
Yeah, it's about a mile, I think, to
Yeah.
get to the border. Canal Street and Bourbon Street.
All right, standing committee reports, technology.
So, we are using a new capture card that you guys bought. So,
Does it work?
it's working. And, I tried to upgrade everything all at once, and of course it didn't work. So, I had to fall back to my current solution. The video quality is greatly improved, and Richard said it looks better. So, I've been working on testing, and apparently I did not do enough testing. So hopefully next month we have a better overall system. But
Okay. That's it?
is that
Okay. David, do you have anything for us?
I'm in the process of uploading the December voter file. I've actually got it up there, but I haven't completed the whole process. So we've got another net 700 or 800 people.
Nice.
I saw you trimmed down our list a little bit. That's great.
Go ahead. No, I have a question on that. The deletion of the emails. So the way I understood your report, these are guys who don't have a physical address for. But you know how those libertarians are. There's some that don't want to give out their physical address. I mean, is there any other way that we could use those people? Can we use them for like outreach events, send them an email for that? Or, I mean, just the fact that they don't have an address doesn't seem like a,
But we don't know where they live,
Yeah.
and they're not registered libertarians.
Oh, they're not registered?
No.
Because if you registered, they have an address.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Is that it, Mike?
Yep.
All right.
Just, that brings up a good point, though. In the outreach events, we have not tried very hard to get physical addresses. Maybe we want to be a little more sticky about that.
We have a number of people who have checked the volunteer for outreach thing, and I haven't seen you pull those guys.
But when we do the quizzes at the outreach events,
Yeah.
we try to get at least an email address. I don't want to give you anything.
Okay.
We've been getting probably 90% email addresses from a physical address. And
I
that's
think it's been the other way around.
Oh, I don't know about that. There's
Maybe 50-50.
files you've been getting from D.
But if you have their name, can't you tie it to the voter registration?
Well, yeah, I mean, if it does tie to a voter
I
registration, then you're
can't
covered.
really, because I have no confirming address. I mean,
So, yeah, those names are-
we could have two different, I mean, if you look at the entire voting list, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people named Adams, for example. And there are lots of the same first name. Well, if I don't have an address, I can't realistically say, either address or phone number. And Nation Builder only allows one email address, or only allows an email address to be on one record. So if they've got the same email address, they're going to be on the same record. If they, so I'm doing the best I can.
Okay, thank you, David. Standing committee, ad hoc committee reports. Richard, do you have anything on the policy manual? What progress are you making on that?
There was no progress on that. We really need to get a meeting scheduled and get the ball rolling on that. Realistically, I'm expecting that's probably next be in January. Part of the issue was we were waiting to, I guess we need to figure out who's going to chair it and have that person take over. So if de facto that's going to be me, that's fine. I'll make sure that we get something scheduled by next meeting for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just had a question about that. We did used to have a policy, didn't we? So I don't know if you found that in our files.
No, and speaking with Jeff, we had some standing rules, but we didn't have a policy manual.
Right, maybe.
Yeah, we went through those. Most of them were obsolete. We went through those like a year ago, but we're talking like an actual, the way we love rules.
Daniel, thanks for coming.
I'd have been on time if I'd known you guys were going to lock me out.
You snooze, you lose.
You want to go ahead and give us your report?
The board report?
Yeah, nothing to
Yeah, nothing to add.
Okay. You put on there that Adams County, this last 2 months in a row, you said their Facebook page is not maintained anymore. Have they bailed out on their Facebook page?
They're looking for someone to run it. Ken Biles, the guy who's out there in Adams County, is not big into Facebook, and that's common. There's a few counties out there, so they're looking for someone to find it. And we actually had a few people crop up in Adams County that have been filtering his way, and then I've got to look into their page as well. And see when their last activity was. There is a chance that I might have skipped their county as well. I don't recall off the top of my head when I was going through the report if I hit their county specifically. I try to hit every single one, but every now and then I miss one.
Anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Okay. Bylaw mandate committee reports, platform committee.
We had our unofficial meeting in the past month, and that went okay. And we tried to have our first official meeting last night, but we did not reach a quorum, so we will have to reschedule that meeting.
Okay. C&B committee, Mike is chairing that, isn't he? He's not here. I'll give you my little rundown about what I thought our last meeting was. I thought that was pretty good. We got made some progress, and I thought that we had a pretty good group of people. I was pretty impressed with them, so I think it'll be good. And I think the platform committee.
And there is a meeting scheduled for December 17th, I believe. At 3 o'clock?
I notice is missing the National Platform Committee.
Add that to new business. Thank you. All right. Next one, Convention Committee. I'm gonna ask Kim to kind of give us an overview of what has happened so far. She's kind of taking the bull by the horns, at least she and Daniel have. Because of the loss of the chair of the Convention Committee, nothing's been done. And when Eric sent me all the work that he had done, I forwarded to Daniel, and there was virtually nothing. So we're kind of behind the ball here, guys. I wanted to talk a little bit about this because we have the opportunity to host the LSLA here in Colorado, and they're going to bring 5,000 to 6,000. I'm guessing 5,000. Let's just call it $5,000 to the table to rent a couple rooms. I mean, so we can actually cover a significant amount of the costs. But we have to have a hotel and a date solid. We do have a date solid, don't we?
March 23 to 25.
Now, do we know that the hotels you've been looking at, Kim, are available that weekend?
Yeah, I didn't bother going to anybody that wasn't.
Okay. Why don't you take the bull by the horns here and tell us where we stand?
Okay, so Daniel and I went out and had a look at 4 hotels in particular. We wanted to keep it in a reasonable cost, close to I-25, easy access for the airport, et cetera, et cetera. So on Saturday, we went to see the Doubletree Hotel at 120th and I-25, the castle-looking place, which if you haven't been inside the castle event center, is actually pretty nifty. It's pretty big. But they do have a set of 3 rooms that we can utilize to break apart and put back together throughout the days. We were looking at doing on Friday night a reception with some appetizers, chips and dip, that kind of thing, and the Great Liberty Trivia Quiz. We're hoping to get some Libertarians in to auction off for lunch the next day, so you can have lunch with a Libertarian. Do some fundraising on that night. We're looking at doing sort of first thing in the morning, a general meeting, education session, speakers, something like that, to make sure that butts are in the seats at 8 a.m. Breaking for lunch, then breaking out into sessions, different sessions, whatever we can do to get speakers and education classes going. That'll be good. And then having the banquet be our main night. So with dinner, speakers, bakes, whatever, and then bringing in a DJ for dancing so that it doesn't just kind of fizzle out. And we encourage people to stay and drink. And while the DJ's there, he can also help fundraise as well. And hopefully the more libations that people have consumed, the more open their wallets will become. And then Sunday is set aside for party business. So again, so we went to the Doubletree, and I have proposals coming from all of them. We went to the Millennium over in Boulder. It's an older hotel, and to be honest, and that layout wasn't quite conducive. We might have to split on different floors, and they didn't really have room for vendor tables and a lot of other things.
2 hours to transfer their room.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that as well. Today we went up to Loveland and actually had a look at the Embassy Suites up there, which is a really nice facility. The rooms are fabulous. The convention rooms are fabulous. They've got plenty of space, and they deal with conventions all the time. So they're on the ball. Price-wise, again, I'm waiting to see what the proposal would be. I'm trying to get them with food to just kind of see. A lot of places, if we hit food and beverage minimums, we can get the rooms for nothing. So it may be worth, looking at doing an all-inclusive weekender ticket that combines accommodation, food, and all access pass to the convention activities. Then we also went to see the Best Western, which was by far the best price for the whole 3 days, food included, lunches, the banquet, and the convention space. It was going to be all up, taxes, service fees, and everything, around about $8,000. Problem with that is it is a little small, and it is a little tricky to get into it from the road. You've got to kind of do a U-turn into a gas station and then kind of get into the parking lot. So it could be a little confusing to get there for out-of-towners. Price-wise, though, it's a good price. It's a really good price.
I'm going to make a commitment to the LSLA tomorrow.
But you still make
they were ready to pull their commitment to us because we haven't made good on our commitment to them.
Okay.
So if you feel as though we can get one of these hotels secured here in the next short time, next couple of weeks,
How
I'm going to
many
make a commitment to them.
how many people are going to be coming from them? 50. And how much room, I mean, how much time do they need an actual room for?
I'm not exactly sure on that because I asked that question, but they didn't have a real solid commitment for me. Now, when I say 50 people, that includes spouses and some of their guest speakers that they're going to bring in. Probably about 30 of those people will be state chairs.
Okay, because the DoubleTree has a separate room that they will give us that can seat 30 classroom style quite comfortably.
And then I think they said about 50 or so, 50 to 60.
Theater style.
If you are comfortable with the fact that we can't find a hotel that gives a reasonable price,
yep,
I'll go ahead and extend our commitment back to the LSO.
Yes, we are making plans with them in mind.
Last time they went all day with their sessions.
Yeah, so the DoubleTree is looking like our front runner, and the Embassy Suites in Loveland is our runner-up.
You need Best Western?
No.
No?
No, because we won't have the room.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Because they have only those two, that one section that
yeah.
way too small.
You're right.
Is the DoubleTree in Aurora priced similarly to the one up on 120th?
Don't know.
Yeah,
but
we used
probably
the one in Aurora before, and they were really good price.
Okay, I will contact them tomorrow, but I will say that the guy over at the DoubleTree is very keen to have us.
Okay. These free drinks for everybody.
Right.
Okay, we're going to talk about the convention committee a little bit more, just a little bit. Thank you, Kim. Stock committee. We have anything on stock committee? Richard, are you heading up the stock committee?
We're still going through the proposals. Next meeting is scheduled for, I believe, this Wednesday. But I won't be able to make it myself. But we should be wrapping up the proposals and the suggestions for change and everything else, I believe, at this meeting. And so I believe Mike's intention is to issue a report to the board on the January meeting for us to look at and decide whether we want to adopt those changes or not.
Old business. I guess we're going to go back to the convention committee again. This is something that's been a thorn in my side for the last 60 days. Bingo, did you get a list of all the people that were on the convention committee from Eric?
I've got something from him this afternoon. I have not actually had the opportunity to open it up yet, but it is supposedly the list of all the convention committee members. And he also pointed me towards Karen Ann, saying she had the applications if we can get more people. That's just what he said in the message.
We have two other people who want to throw their hat in the ring for the convention committee. One is Bennett Rutledge. I'm sure everybody here knows Bennett. But also, Justin, you said you wanted to be involved in some capacity. what I would like, Kim, would you set up a meeting with everybody? And I will come to that meeting. Let's do a belly-to-belly meeting if we can. And we'll select a new chair so that we can keep this ball rolling right now. It sounds like you have it going in the right direction.
Okay.
Aren't these two handling it? We need to put a bunch more people in there?
We do need help.
Yeah, we
I
need
mean,
lots of help.
Yeah, don't turn down any volunteers.
Yeah, no, we're laying the groundwork. People still have to build the foundations, the uprights, put up the walls, and slap a ceiling on it.
We need a credentialing team. We need people to get speakers, organize.
Which, speaking of, I talked with Senator Epke today. She said she does not look like she has anything for that weekend, and she would be willing to come down and be a speaker. So we tentatively have her penciled in.
Well, if you would, Kim, if you would go ahead and just schedule a date for all the people, you can find a place where you can do it at Village Inn or whatever. But I want to get at least one more belly-to-belly meeting where we can choose our chair and keep the ball going. You guys stepped it up here in the last few days. I appreciate that. So I was getting some real pressure on this internally. I don't mean internally, yes. Okay, next thing I've got here is we're going to be doing a Festivus in Douglas County. We'd love to have everybody from the state show up, but we're going to be doing this on the 28th of December. And it should be a lot of fun. I promised them 50 to 60 people. So let's try to, yeah, let's get everybody there that we can. It's going to be a lot of fun. $5 or $10, we haven't set a price, but whatever the number is, $5 maybe to hear your grievances on a PA system about the state. No personal grievances.
Not the chair. That's December 28th.
28th.
Who's competing in the feats of strength?
You're on.
Yes.
Is it going out in the newsletter?
Good. Do we have an electronic newsletter going out that we can send anybody, or just regular email?
Karen was sending you a fairly regular newsletter for a while.
It wasn't a newsletter, it was just when things came up, I sent stuff out.
Right.
Okay, well, that one's out now. So we'll turn it into a fundraiser so we can cool. All right. Lapsed member calls. I wanted to see what kind of progress we made on that. I believe, Daniel, you and Eric were starting on that process.
Yes.
How was the success?
Well, I haven't done any more lapsed member calls since the last set that we had done. I've been just way too swamped. But looking at the BSM from the last report and all that, it looks like it was having some success. And we can't. I don't want to drop the ball on it too long. I don't want to lose that momentum, basically. But once we get done with this next week is I won't be able to do anything. After that, I can do envelope stuffing and phone calls, and I probably will be doing a lot of lapsed member calls myself.
I would encourage you to get together with Justin, and that's a perfect opportunity for a fundraiser because you're making contact with somebody, and it's an awesome opportunity to ask for money. And that's something that membership could be involved in too, if you'd like to, Steve. The three of you guys, I think, could tackle this and reach everybody in a couple of evenings before you're all there. So let's make that call. There's too many opportunities out there that we can't miss. We've been missing them all year.
I'll shoot you guys an email this week, and we'll try and set up something in the next week and a half to 2 weeks. Usually, what we were doing was I would meet with Eric online via like a Facebook chat, and I'd sent out the spreadsheet, and we'd set aside a 100 number block, and it takes about an hour and a half or so to get through about 100 names per person. And in that time, we'd come back, and I got about 3 or 4 that agreed to renew, so on and so forth, and then I collect them all together, and then all the ones that are the bad numbers and stuff like that. Going to send those back up to back up to national and to David so we can get them scrubbed off our list.
All right, did you have like a script or something?
I don't, I mean, I've got one mentally, I don't have a typed up one, but I can get one typed up and,
That would be great, because if you have a script that you're comfortable with, and get it together, Steve can personalize it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and if if you just learn by trial and error, like, certain questions are better than others or something.
Well, I mean, it's out of the 400 phone calls I've made, I have had 6 people answer the phone. So that gives you an idea of the ratios we're working with. The reason it only takes an hour to get through 100 names is because most of the time is do, hang up, highlight red, type in next number, do. You get the idea.
Is it worth it?
Seeing as our numbers went up, I think it's worth it. It doesn't take a lot to sit on your butt and make phone calls.
Did you leave messages on the ones with voicemail?
The ones with voicemails, yes, I left a message.
Did you follow up with an email?
I did not follow up with an email, no.
That always helps, because when I was doing them for national, a lot of times I don't talk to people on the phone. And most people don't want to talk to people on the phone anymore. But when they get the follow-up email and you say, I tried to call you, blah, 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 I've gotten a lot of renewals that way. If you give them a link where they don't have to talk to somebody.
When I mark all of the ones where I left a message, I mark those in blue so that we know they're good numbers and we can follow up later.
Yeah, send an email, because you'll have even more success when you do that too.
Yeah, an email follow-up on every single call is always a good idea.
And the ones with bad phone numbers, you can put in the follow-up email, hey, we tried to reach you, and then because sometimes they'll write you back and give you the right number. They're like, oh, I changed my number.
Next item is missing board reports. Guys, I was a day late getting mine in too. But we are putting David through some big time stress because he tries to get those things posted by Friday. If we don't have them up on Wednesday, that's not fair to David. So I would encourage everybody, and this is the second month in a row we've talked about this, please try to get your board reports done ahead of time. And one of the problems that I've had with my report is I always forget all the stuff that I've done through the previous month. So I'm going to start writing my board report like the day after today. I'm going to start on next month's board report so that I can just add things on it as I go. And that way, if I get crunched and I can't get it done on Wednesday, my board report's mostly done anyway. So I would encourage everybody to consider doing exactly. David, you had something?
I was just going to suggest that one of the things I do is I start my board report the day I finish the other one, the previous one. And that way, when I do something, all I have to do is bring it up, type in 20 words or whatever it is, and file it. So I never have to remember, what did I do last week?
Mike, you had something?
I noticed that in the past, there was an email that came out when they were due, and I know we're all mature adults, so we can look at our calendars.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I haven't been doing that. Was that helpful for you?
It was for me. I got to see the email, so.
Does everybody think that would be helpful to get a reminder email on board reports?
It doesn't hurt.
I'm going to assume that if I do the reminder email, then we won't have any more problems. All right. Income tax initiative. This one I'm going to let Mike take. We have an opportunity here, and Mike, why don't you go ahead and run with this and give us the big picture, if you will.
Okay, so there's a group that's been working for over a year now to modify the income tax in Colorado. And there's a couple problems that they're addressing, including some Tabor violations and stuff like that. But basically what this initiative would do, it's gotten through the whole title board and review and comment and all that process, is there's tax credits right now they're giving to 13 corporations, which aren't named. They're millions of dollars, and they go out every year. So we take those tax credits and put them in a pile and then distribute them to everybody equally. But it would also put in that pile, the state did a trick where they called taxes fees and made all our car registrations go up to hundreds of dollars as opposed to $10, which is what it actually costs them to process it. So anything over $10, car registrations would be thrown in that pile. Ref C raised the base for Tabor And it was supposed to be a 5-year timeout, and it's been going for many years. And so that's an additional amount of revenue that the state should not be collecting. That's going in there. There's enterprises and one other item. And all these items will go into one pot, and that'll be a tax credit that's split up among all the adult taxpayers who are residents of Colorado. It won't go back to companies and stuff, which, a lot of us have our own companies, but it will go back to all the individual taxpayers in Colorado. And we're hoping that'll encourage the state to do less of that loony stuff. Was certainly good for the economy, for the money to be in our pockets instead of the government's pockets. And there's some other benefits as well. So this is like the Stop the Shakedown in that you have to do a petition, get 150,000 signatures. We do have funding, unlike Stop the Shakedown, significant funding available. So some of the signatures can be paid, which will help. And if you add that to volunteer work by people who believe in this, then together we could get this on the ballot next year and have lower taxes for everybody after that. So,
okay.
So the process, it may have to go back. There's some groups, probably local unions or whatever, who will contest it. And so it may be another couple weeks before we get the actual petitions out. But I want everybody to know it's coming down the pike. And I also wanted to know that we're okay if we use Steve's email or newsletters, or just some email list from Dave to send things out. And maybe I just give the text to Dave and he sends it out.
Why don't you make a motion on that, Mike, to give the board opportunity to vote on whether they think that we should be using our resources and our database to put this out.
Okay, I would move that we contribute resources, both physical and intangible, to support the income tax initiative, or getting it on the ballot, and in the future to support actually getting people to vote for it. And I move that be something that the board get behind and the Colorado Libertarian Party get behind.
Okay, Kim?
Does the secretary have the wording of that motion?
He's working on it.
Can we add a little footnote to that email that asks for donations to us to support these supportings of initiatives?
We'll just go with, you want to add that to the motion? Is that what you were doing? Okay, I'll consider that an amendment.
Okay.
So Kim, you would like to add language in the email that's going out to support,
To ask for donations so that we may continue to support initiatives such as these.
Okay.
Like this initiative, donate here. Every single touch that we put out to any of our members should have that footer in it.
okay?
Calling for donations.
Does anybody have any objections to that amendment?
I have a comment. I'm not sure it belongs with this motion. It seems too specific for this one. I think perhaps a separate motion saying that any communications we send out for anything have some kind of fundraising pitch
I'll
in it
withdraw the
is more
amendment in
appropriate
favor.
rather than micromanaging this one in particular.
That motion has been withdrawn. Would you like to restate it, Karen?
Well, we have a pending motion right now, so I'm not looking to
Oh, that's
amend
true.
Mike's motion.
All right, so, please.
We'll drop off.
Okay. Mike, would you restate yours one more time for everybody? Have you worded it yet?
Yeah, a little better. Spalding, well, okay, no, wait. Here we go.
That guy.
That guy. I move that LPCO support the income tax initiative with resources and personnel.
Information. Now, as I understand the tax credit, please correct me if I'm wrong. The tax credit is something given to companies based upon taxes they've already paid, correct?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
A lot of them are incentives to get companies to locate or other kind of deals, or incentives to produce various things. And they're usually refundable tax credits. So they can pay no taxes and get a full tax credit.
I'm wanting to make sure, because it almost sounds like there's taking money from companies and redistributing it to citizens.
Right. We
I don't like that.
None of us support that.
In any capacity, even if there is a good thing behind it, like lowering income taxes for everybody.
But the deal is this is cronyism. That's set up through special interests. And they've gotten these things through, and you can't find the list. All you can find is the amount. You don't know which companies are going to get this money. So it's something that we'd like to either bring out into the open with the campaign, or even better, get rid of. We shouldn't have special favors to certain companies.
I mean, should we wait until we actually have wording of it, like the actual? Because you know what? If
it's in my report, Steve. Did you read the report?
Yeah, but was that, I mean, like, is it going to change at some point? You know, you talked about challenge. I worry about, you know, this seems freedom oriented, and there's some status.
I think we should table this until next.
If we put that in, you won't see it.
Well, so now that's
right. But no, the wording will stay the same. There are some challenges right now, but you know, stay the same. The key thing is getting this launched. Right now, most of the challenges are kind of delaying tactics, which are actually good for us because it's not a good time to be out getting petitions right now. We'll have a final official one January 3rd. Before our next meeting, actually.
I'm not sure I understand this though.
Okay, what you're reading is called a ballot title, and it's hilarious. The actual law is about half a page, and then the state suggested that we have a ballot title which will appear on every voter's ballot, and I have to read. That was longer than the actual initiative. So that's part of why this has taken over a year. So the one that Karen's reading right now is about 9 lines long. So it's about half the length of the whole thing, but you know, shorter is better because otherwise people won't read it.
I don't like the repealing all current state income tax credits.
That's the first part of it.
I know. I don't, just like with Trump's thing, where they're like, well, people will save more now that they've repealed the whatever for the
Mortgage
state income tax.
thing.
I don't think we should ever support repealing any credits. Because it's like saying, we'll trade theft in this area for no theft in this area. I don't think we should ever support repealing any credit, ever.
Even if it's cronyism, even if Walmart.
It doesn't
talked to
matter
them and got
because credits is somebody not getting stolen from. A credit is not a subsidy. We're opposed to subsidies. We're not opposed to credit.
I think it is a subsidy because these are refundable, which means they get this money. It says they would money for a subsidy.
It was their money to begin with.
No.
No.
If they didn't pay any taxes, they have a zero tax bill, they get a tax credit, they actually get a check, just like a refund.
Yeah. There's 13 companies that are
Yes, sir.
sharing millions of dollars, and these
Even
are
individuals can get
basically
checks without
bribes
paying
or
any
special interest things that they got through, you know, tacked onto other bills and stuff like
Is
that.
it similar to like the Amazon?
Well, we're hoping that, you know, give them a big bribe.
Guys,
Yeah,
let's
similar to that.
direct your questions to me here so we make sure we're not talking over each other. Kevin?
My question is, if we're gonna delay this, or if we're gonna do this at all, the stop the shakedowns together with this as support from the party.
And do we already get support, the official support? I know
We haven't had any
Not
vote.
officially yet. But that's probably going to happen.
Because they are seriously low on money. They need all the help they can get.
Yeah, and I've done petitions over the years, and I haven't seen one succeed with only volunteers since '92. So they're in trouble.
They have some, I don't know what all the status is. I'll probably invite Steve to our next meeting to give us a quick rundown on where he stands with it. But
So maybe
we're back to Mike Still here.
Right. So you're asking that we withdraw this and then
I'm
do it
saying,
all as one.
if we're gonna go forward with this, we do it, amend and add, do together.
I mean, both of those make the party look good to be
Yeah.
behind those, and
Agreed.
they're great for press releases and all that kind of stuff. So
And again, it's an initiative just to get it on the ballot before the people. It's,
right, doesn't mean
I think that's a good thing.
Well, we can take a position on this one tonight. We'll take a position on the stop and shakedowns. When I can get Steve to come in and give us 5 minutes or 10 minutes of his time. And I feel we're probably going to be in support of both of those.
it sounds like this young lady over here would like to maybe read the actual text of the
Yeah,
initiative.
I'm not comfortable supporting something just by reading a title with problematic language in the title. I understand the title might not be giving the whole story, and I can totally appreciate that. But just looking at it as it is, you know,
And I wish I could give you information on the subsidies or tax credits or whatever, because that's part of the problem, is this stuff is buried and we haven't been able to get it. All we got is the Department of Revenue showing how much money is going to 13 companies, but they won't name the companies. They won't name what the deal was or anything. So that all we know is that they're refundable and they're act like subsidies.
Mike, can you file a Cora request and get that information?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, other people are working on this, so, but I don't suggest that.
Or a request for something like this would probably be several $100.
Just 13 names. I don't know.
It's a deterrent.
or again, this isn't a reason why I'd like to see the bill. For instance, there was, and I'm sure we faced this when I wasn't on Libertarian, when I wasn't in Colorado, with the whole medical marijuana thing. You know, it's great to keep, or recreational, great to keep people out of jail. It sucks to tax it so heavily. So maybe even some kind of qualified support for it, because I don't have any problem with that either, because there's not perfect bills usually, but I want to make it clear if there is something a little iffy in there that we justify why we're supporting it, even though there's a sucky part of it. And I don't think we have enough information to do that now. I'm not one to say, oh, it's not 100% pure, so no. I just want to make it clear if there is something we disagree with, what we disagree with it with. Because they had this issue in Arizona, and I thought they were wrong not to support it because they didn't like the taxes. But to me, you could word it in such a way. You know, it's kind of like the gay marriage thing too. We want the state to be out of marriage, but if they're going to be in it, they shouldn't be discriminated.
Mike, is there any chance you can gather the rest of the information that's been asked for here by our next meeting?
Oh, certainly. I mean, we could even do this via email. I can send you the text.
Can we table this motion until next month?
Can we table it and do it via email?
Is there a need to do?
No, there isn't, except, no, there really isn't. I mean, it's a 6 month process for the petition.
Let's just table it until next month.
Okay. All right, I'll go with that. Well, okay, so I withdrew the thing and we'll bring it up again.
You withdrew the motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that way it works, because
And then
I
you
know
can
he
bring it up
can't
whenever
table
you
it.
want, right?
Next thing I want to talk about is the Cynthia Lopez thing in Green Valley Ranch. We were going to take a pretty strong position on this one, but after a whole bunch of research, we can't hang a big L on this thing anywhere. So the facts that came out, I don't think were complete or accurate based upon the research that I did. So we talked last month about maybe wanting to have a position paper written on this, and I was in contact with Jay Stooksbury, and he actually started on it. I called him, and I says, yeah, stop your work. This isn't something we can hang an L on. So if you're wondering what was happening with that, this one has been called dead. It's a bad deal, but it's not something that the Libertarian Party can take a position in, because there's nothing here that goes along with what our belief system is. All right, new business. National Platform Committee appointments. Karen, go ahead.
Well, what we decided last month was that we would be taking applications up through this meeting, and we did get a couple more applications. So what I'm going to do is bundle up all the applications, send it to you guys via the confidential list, along with a link to an open vote. We were doing, was it not approval, ranked choice voting, and we were going to experiment with that system since it's a did we decide on ranked choice or approval? I'll have to look at the, whatever alternative voting system we decided we were going to use. I'll set it up for that, because it's a multi-seat position where we're electing a platform committee representative and an alternate. We could actually elect as many alternates as we want. We might actually want to do an alternate and a second alternate, because it's not unknown for an alternate to then lose a couple people. So I'll send that out over the next week. a 3-day window to vote, just like a regular email vote, and then we'll announce who our appointees are.
Can we review that on email?
I'm going to send out via email a packet of all the applications for everyone to review, along with a link to an online vote, just OPA vote system. And you'll vote online and it will do all the calculations for whatever it was system that we did. And it'll give you a nice little chart to show you how votes were done. It's super cool. So I wanted to see how it worked out for us to use in the future.
Okay. Anybody have any new business that we haven't covered? All right. Jeff, why don't you go ahead and take your 5 minutes and give us your proposal.
Okay. What I've become very interested, obviously, everyone's heard about the Bitcoin stuff in the news, and everyone's getting hyped and bubbled and all that sort of stuff. But for about 4 years, I was not paying any attention to the underlying technology behind Bitcoin, the hype, which is called blockchain. And I was in the first iteration of the web back in '94, well before Netscape and all that sort of stuff. And I thought at the time that what the internet did was it eliminated place as a constraint. What blockchain does, the technology underneath Bitcoin, ignore the Bitcoin hype and all that sort of stuff, because that's a bit of nonsense. But the technology of blockchain actually eliminates hierarchy, has the same potential to eliminate hierarchy and the coerciveness that comes from hierarchy by eliminating the transactions costs that make hierarchy necessary. It's essentially what blockchain is. It's a decentralized ledger system that manages itself. It is self-managing. And so it is extraordinarily disruptive. Bitcoin being obviously one that was put in place during the crash, during the 2008 crash, when people were, folks who were essentially anarcho-libertarian, were getting very annoyed at the Fed bailouts and all that sort of stuff. So they created a currency. They didn't need to ask permission to create this currency. They just simply created a currency. And it has, in the last 7 years, it has become extraordinarily disruptive. This same technology is now threatening the venture capital industry through things called initial coin offerings. Over the next 10 years, it's going to be disrupting banks, it's going to be disrupting governments, it's going to be astonishingly disruptive. And I think it would be very good to have a meetup, and I'm willing to host it in Denver, between folks who are libertarian and folks who know blockchain. Because there's a risk that this technology can end up being co-opted and make hierarchy even more powerful. That's what happened with the internet. We started getting the ad-based model, and we started selling eyeballs, and that's now, the internet is very much controlled. So I think there's a very interesting possibility of just kind of even talking, just figuring out, getting libertarians and blockchain people just to meet and greet initially, and maybe something comes out of that.
Are you going to put together some sort of meetup?
Yes, I'm thinking of a meetup group probably starting in January. Too late for December, but I'd be very interested in finding out, getting feedback from people here as to what sorts of things they might want to have this meetup group focus on. You know, I think that there can actually be accomplishments out of this.
Well, I think the most important thing that you can do is educate, because I'm very ignorant about Bitcoin and all the blockchain technologies. You know, Justin's been looking into this a little bit. He probably has a lot more information than I do. But Karen?
I was just gonna make 2 comments because, like, right before you spoke, I just bought some Litecoin. So we were saying, no, don't be buying into that. But also, anarcho-libertarians never get upset. Just wanted to
Don't get mad, get even.
Never. Litecoin's up, by the way.
Get mad at everything.
Bitcoin's down.
It's down, Litecoin's up.
That's great.
The other thing I was thinking was just, I'm thinking it's somewhere in South Denver, because I think somewhere north of the Tech Center. I think Tech Center, and I don't know actually where the blockchain types of people would be working in Denver, but I'm assuming the Tech Center in Bloomfield or Broome.
From the sounds of it,
There's probably the one
There's quite a few in the corporate sector that know quite a bit about blockchain and are utilizing blockchain.
Okay.
So
So
there are existing blockchain meetups if you want to tag on one of those.
Yes, and I'm going to be going to them over the next month, kind of attending.
You know what I would encourage you to do here, Jeff? Get involved with some of the county affiliates, speak with their chairs, and see if you can maybe have them focus one of their meetings around this. Because I think this is getting so much press right now. I think that almost any of the county affiliates that haven't already had this on their agenda would certainly consider that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would encourage you to do that. You can go through the in our webpage, the Colorado State page. If you go to get involved, look at the county affiliates.
Okay.
You'll see which ones are formed, and there's a contact person for each one of those.
Okay, so there's like an email address for them. Okay.
And actually, I think Boulder would be perfect for this because they do have a speaker pretty much every meeting, right? And
Mhm.
Ralph Schnellvar, I think, would be happy to.
Every Thursday at 12:15 at
Corelli's.
Corelli's. Thank you.
And may I also recommend Liberty on the Rocks, first and third Wednesdays. That's another contact.
Although they've done blockchain there a couple times.
I don't
They're
think
all a bunch of
Broomfield-
anarchists and
I don't
libertarians.
think, I don't think Flatirons is done.
Oh, not Flatirons,
Well,
no.
they're not anarchists, it's fine.
No, I'm talking about the
They
other
already
one.
have it.
I tried.
The other one is that.
I'm calling it Liberty and Blockchains. Is that
Liberty on the Rocks.
Yeah.
Liberty and Blockchains? Liberty and Blockchains.
Well,
No.
Liberty and Chains.
Liberty and
I
Chains,
get it.
yeah.
All right, guys, I only have one more thing here. I left it off of the agenda, but since Michelle is here, Michelle, can you give me a little education what your involvement was with the, and will be with the convention committee? I'm a little in the gray on that one. So
Oh,
can
I
you help
was just willing to tell them what I knew about planning,
Advisory
budgeting
position.
and stuff, yeah, just advising.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of time.
Okay.
And I have located the book, so if there's somebody that wants to read the book.
Okay. Kim, would
Oh,
you
that would be
have Michelle also on the invite, please?
Mhm.
Book, what book are you talking?
They wrote the
This
book.
is when I wrote a book on how to plan a Libertarian convention.
Wow.
And David, can I have you come to the meeting too? Because we'll have questions about the website, ticket sales, all of that kind
Okay.
of stuff.
When is the meeting?
Let me put it this way.
Okay, I can probably make it.
And if we can do belly to belly, that's great.
if we can do it after 3 p.m. preferably, it would be great with me.
Yeah. Yeah, I see mornings are really good for me, or evenings are really good for me.
Evenings.
Yeah.
Well, another question from Michelle. Is this a book you sell or is it one that's like?
No, we actually gave it to National. They probably have a dozen copies there.
Yeah, I doubt that. Is there any way that I can put it on Elpedia?
All digital. And we wrote this in 2006. So there's a whole section on social media that is missing from it because we didn't do a lot of social media. So it's in the process of being rewritten.
But even the older version, I'd love to scan and put up there, because I have, the only reason I said I doubt is because I have LP's records and I've been through one pass and I haven't seen it. And so even the older version is great for historical purposes and for other people too. Because we have some old campaign guides in there that obviously don't deal with social media, but actually some of the sections of it are even more creative because you couldn't rely on stuff like that. So I would love to get that on LPDF.
Yeah, I can send you what I have.
Yes, love it.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Any objection? We are adjourned.